Welcome back to the Tracy Take. I am your co-host Tyler here with my brother Ryan, and we are going to be doing our Week 18 picks, the final regular season picks for the 2022 season. I actually can't believe that it is already here. But before we get into that, if this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button so you can see when we go live. Ryan and I in 2023, we will be coming out with a lot more content. Definitely want to keep growing the community and building this channel and having a lot more kind of interactive discussions with the people of our community, because it's just fun to have these debates and see what other people kind of think about certain NFL teams and certain players. And so we greatly appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button, like this video, comment on this video on your thoughts on who's going to win certain games and how dumb Ryan and I look or sound whenever we make our picks. And let's get to it.
I will say, with our picks, we've been doing pretty well.
So, yeah, let's just immediately go into that because this is going to the final week. Overall, on a week-by-week basis, I have won 8 weeks. You have won 7. And there are 2 ties. So for me, overall, on a week-by-week basis, I have locked in a tie, nada. What's even more amazing to me, though, on picking each individual game, I'm only 1 game up.
Yeah.
I think about, of all the games, there's 242 games that are played, if I'm not 16 times. Well, no, sorry. 17 times 32, right? Yeah. 17 times, whatever that would be. It's way more than 242.
Yeah,
whatever.
That's a big number.
Whatever. I'm not a scientist, so I can't entirely say. But the fact that we're just 1 game apart.
Well, and also too, you got out to a big lead.
Big lead.
And we've kind of staggered back and forth on our overall picks.
Yeah,
I've come within 2 a couple times of you, and then I fell back to 4. Now I'm back at 1 behind. It is crazy to think about. There were a lot of games that were decided at like the last second. For example, I benefited this past week with the Kenny Pickett touchdown pass to Najee Harris against Baltimore.
Yeah,
I had Pitt winning. And then I also had Miami winning in the Baltimore-Miami game earlier this season, where Miami gave up like 31 fourth quarter points and
something like that. Yeah.
So,
well, no, sorry, it was reversed. You had Baltimore and Miami was the one that had to come back, and I have Miami. But that's the NFL season, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Shoot, how many times I was thinking about it, I'm in this pick'em league with where you put up $180 up front, and then the winner of each week gets $370. I think there's 37 guys in it. I've literally lost $1,000 all because of Denver. Like I've come in second 3 or 4 weeks, and it's and if I look at it, it is the Denver game. Denver has literally screwed me out of $1,000
Denver this week. There? Hello?
Oh, can you hear me? Yeah.
Sorry, I said, are you picking Denver this week?
Because they're playing the Chargers. So, yes, spoiler alert. Even though, the Chargers do have a lot to play for.
Do they?
Yeah, because I would need to see what the tiebreakers are, but they're only a game back of Baltimore. Because
they have the tiebreaker on Baltimore, but if they lose and Baltimore wins, then they would probably go back to 6 based off of divisional records.
Yeah.
So,
that's a good point. Let me pull up here. Let me pull up the NFL playoff picture here. Because so I think that's one thing to address. I was looking at it today, and Stephen A. Smith. I forgot we talked about it last night because obviously with the Bills-Bengals game postponed, played this week. We've heard so far positive news coming out about Damar Hamlin, which is the most important thing, obviously. But then also how that impacts the NFL season with how that game is. They where we're trying to go with this. I believe it was you that brought it. I forgot who brought it up last night. If it was either you or I.
About the tie?
No. About pushing back the playoff week and having next Sunday be the Bills Bengals finishing that game to decide on what to do with the NFL. And I was actually just thinking about it because Stephen A. Smith must obviously listen to our channel because we talked about it last night.
Yeah.
But no, and so I say that though, like with the playoff picture, especially when it comes to around that particular seeding. However, though, as we're going to get into it, and I think if I looked at it correctly, that's not going to impact who is going to win the AFC North division. Another spoiler alert: we have Cincinnati winning. So that being said, seems like the Ravens right now are the 6th seed. Chargers are the 5th seed. And then the final seed is still up for grabs between the Patriots, Dolphins, Steelers, and technically the Jags and the Titans. Technically, so all of those teams could lose, and it would just all depend on tiebreaker. So I'd have no idea if there'd be 4 teams at 8 and 9, but that's probably not likely. I'm going. We're going to get it into that game in a second here. But on the NFC side, there's only 2 games that matter. Philly versus the Giants and Green Bay versus Detroit. Detroit needs some help. They need Seattle to lose, and then they control their own destiny. But Green Bay controls their own destiny, and so does Philadelphia as well when it comes to winning the division.
Dallas also has to win.
True,
however,
but
they're going to be playing against a Sam Howell-led Commanders.
Yeah. And also too, and that's why I said that game doesn't matter as much because Cowboys are going to be scoreboard watching anyways. It's like let's take care of business. Let's also have it there. Everyone's going to be having an eye on the Philadelphia Eagles game as well because that's the game that truly matters in that instance.
Could you imagine after this whole season that the Eagles have had if they're the 5 seed in a wild card?
It's happened before. I mean, I think what was it? I think it was the Colts who now they ended up winning. Was it the Colts? I forgot what it was. It might have been like the Mike Vanderjagt game, but like I think they went 13-0 or something like that. 14, locked up the 1 seed, locked up the division, took it easy the last 2 games, had a bye week. And then lose to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I know the Falcons have had that where they go 13-0, and then they take it easy once they have the division locked up, and then they lose 3 games, and then they lay an absolute stinker in the first round. They got blown out by the Packers. I think it was like 2010 or 2011. So like it has happened before. I mean, and that's why it is such a long season. That's why to me, if you're looking at it, the 49ers might be the best team. They might be the team that I end up picking for the Super Bowl whenever we do our revised playoff prediction, so to say. Who's to say that Tom Brady and Mike Evans don't just absolutely catch fire, continue the fire that they have?
Yeah,
So
let's get into the games here, and we can start talking about kind of like what we think is going to play out and kind of the scenarios that it would involve if it goes the way that we predict it.
Yeah.
So, starting off on Saturday, Kansas City versus Las Vegas. This could have been a good game, a really important game if Las Vegas had lived up to the hype that they were supposed to have had. Also, it looks like if Jarrett Stidham was playing the whole season, they would have been undefeated. That was incredible.
Dude absolutely catches fire.
Yeah.
In that game. Against as I said, against that 49ers defense, which is arguably the best defense in the league, best team in the league. Absolutely insane.
Yeah. It is at Las Vegas, but I don't really think that that's going to matter. I have Kansas City winning. Kansas City, especially with everything that's up in the air right now with the Buffalo-Cincinnati game, and whether that's going to be marked a tie, rescheduled, just completely left off the schedule in its entirety. Yeah. I think Kansas City has to come out and they have to win this game, and then really earn that bye. And who knows? Maybe who knows what will happen? Maybe the NFL will kind of rule in their favor, but I have Kansas City winning. Clearly the better team. Raiders have been inconsistent all year.
Yeah. So. I'm not gonna. If I want to give some fairness, and I think there needs to be some fairness to the Raiders. There's only one game that I can think of that they got blown out on. I mean, they need to improve that defense 100%. I'm not disagreeing with that, but they only lost to the Chiefs by 1 point. They've blown so many games in the fourth quarter where they had better coaching or maybe just better game. Like they should have beat the Rams, should have beat the Cardinals, should have beat multiple other teams as well. But they should absolutely be in the playoffs with the season that Josh Jacobs had, and Derek Carr, Devontae Adams reconnecting. Derek Carr not having the best year, but still.
I actually don't understand why they benched him, but
I think to me, I think if they. A lot of it has to do around money and whether or not they want to keep Derek Carr or not. A lot of what we're seeing now, a lot of teams though, like in week 17 and week 18, it's like, hey, who do we think is going to be our backup quarterback for the future? Like Bear and Justin Fields. Is Nathan Peterman the backup quarterback that we want to have, or should we just go try and get some veteran? Should we go get Taylor Heineke or Carson Wentz, or is Nick Foles going to be available or something like that? These quarterbacks who should be available, if they want someone to back up Justin Fields. So we're seeing some of those teams have that. With the Raiders, though, I think they kind of did them a little dirty, to be honest, because then to be like, we don't want you to be a distraction, go home for 2 weeks, which to me I think is a clear sign that they're going to try and get rid of him. I think they're able to trade him and save a lot of money in their cap space. They owe him $40 million after June 1st, I think, or if he's not traded or cut before June 1st, I think. I would need to go back and double check that.
Yeah.
I still haven't done as much research, I should say, about that and each team on how their season went, essentially, stats-wise and also salary cap-wise on what we should be looking for in the offseason. So I will be doing that here soon. But Derek Carr still, I think, top half quarterback in the league. Now, do you think one of these upcoming quarterbacks is going to be the guy that – can take you to the promised land?
They're not really picking high enough.
Well, they can make some trades, though. I think they do have some draft capital.
Maybe. If they do trade Derek Carr, I mean, I assume that they would get a first-round pick for Derek Carr. If not, maybe a little more. Maybe they could bundle some picks and move up. But I'm not a huge fan of the guys later on in this draft. I think Derek Carr, for what they want to do, is the right guy. I think it's a mistake to move on from him. But it is a money game. Maybe a little bit of politics involved there with Jarrett Stidham going with Josh McDaniels to Las Vegas from New England. I just think, I don't know. I think it's an interesting situation, and we can talk a little bit more about it as the offseason approaches and moves are starting to be made. I think if he is moved, he'll be moved pre-draft. I would be surprised if they moved on from him after the draft.
Because the haul, as we just talked about, I think they could get a first-round pick, at minimum a couple second-round picks. So I think that there's a market for him. I mean, shoot. Yeah. I mean, I know I talk about the Falcons a bunch, but look at a team like the Falcons. Maybe Houston, if Houston wants to trade, they have 2 first-round picks that are going to be in the top 15. If they want to get rid of one of those picks, then get their quarterback, then they can draft maybe Jalen Carter at their number 1. I'm just throwing stuff out there on what they could get from it. So, I have Kansas City going for this one. And so let's move on to the next one, though, which is the first round of the playoffs for both of these teams. The Tennessee Titans at Jacksonville Jaguars. To me, Josh Dobbs, I mean, he looked impressive, all things considered, against the Dallas Cowboys team. Once again, shocking how Mike Vrabel is able to get this defense somehow put together to give a competition against the Dallas Cowboys and that offense. However,
lost,
though,
right?
they did end up losing 27-13, but they made it difficult in that first half for Dallas. It was only 10-6 at halftime on that Thursday night football game. That being said, though, I don't think this is going to be a contest. Jacksonville just came in a couple weeks ago and absolutely slapped Tennessee around. Jacksonville's firing on all cylinders. I think that they're playing really well with Evan Ingram having a career season so far. With Christian Kirk playing really well. You have Zay Jones also. You have Travis Etienne in the backfield is playing really well. And I haven't even talked about how well their quarterback's playing. So he has made huge strides moving forward here.
Yeah, he's close to 30 touchdown season, right?
I don't know. Actually, that's a good point. He's got to be close, though, because he has caught fire over these past 6 weeks. Multiple touchdown games.
I want to say he's at 28 or 29 touchdowns.
I mean, he'll get to 30. He'll definitely get to 30.
No, he's only at 24.
But he could still get to 30.
I mean, he could. For me, the big number is he's only thrown 8 interceptions. And he's
what's his completion percentage?
Completion percentage 66.5%.
Compared
for
to
average depth of target is 7 yards. Which is good.
Like, that's actually pretty good.
You look at a lot of the elite guys, like they're throwing 8-9 yards, maybe 10 down the field. But
7 yards is huge. That's your average. 3rd and 7 now is much more manageable. You know, like if you're throwing 7 yards on average.
Yeah, well, that's his average.
Yards
per completion, I think.
Okay.
No, sorry, that's average yards per attempt.
Per attempt?
Yeah.
Okay. Either way, though, Trevor Lawrence has been having a great year.
Yeah.
So the sophomore leap that you want him to make.
No, definitely.
Essentially, yeah.
Definitely. With that, I have Jacksonville winning as well. They're just a better team. They out-physicaled Tennessee last time they played. There's some things you can fix. Like if Tennessee just got beat schematically, and like maybe got outwitted on like a couple plays, and like that was the big difference. I think you could see a change of the tide here, and Mike Vrabel being more prepared. However, if I remember that game correctly, Jacksonville just out-physicaled them in the trenches, especially on the defensive side of the ball. They never really allowed Derrick Henry to get going or anything like that. So it'll be interesting. I'm really looking forward to Saturday night for that one.
It's going to be a lot of fun. No, it's definitely going to be a good one. So let's move on now to the Sunday games. Starting out now with Tampa versus Atlanta. We actually disagree on this game.
Yeah.
You have the Falcons winning. Why is that?
Tampa Bay doesn't really have anything to play for. They're locked in at that 4 spot. I'm assuming they're going to rest a couple guys, specifically Brady, Evans. And maybe they'll give them a rep or two to kind of keep the juices flowing, because they will have to turn around and play the next week, barring any rescheduling. But it's an interesting game, because this is one of, I think, actually only a few games where one team does not really have much to play for, in my opinion. And the Falcons, they're going to be putting in a lot of young, hungry players who are going to be trying to make a name for themselves, possibly get extended into next year. Whereas Tampa Bay, I think they're going to be more focused on getting to next week. So,
yeah, I do just still think that Tampa Bay, they might have found something a little bit on the offensive side of the ball with their performance last week. J.C. Horn going down for Carolina definitely allowed Tampa Bay to become more of an offensive threat, obviously, as we saw with Mike Evans. And the secondary of Atlanta just isn't as isn't that great. I mean, even outside of how well AJ Terrell has been performing. That being said, I think some of their starters are actually going to be playing a lot more. I still think that they're going to try and use this game to find a rhythm to move going into the playoffs, where they'll probably be playing the Cowboys. So I have Tampa Bay winning this game. And also, too, and I don't think this is going to change, Atlanta's one of 3 teams that has never beaten Tom Brady, and I think that trend continues. So
that's an interesting fact that I actually have not known.
I think it is Atlanta, the Patriots, obviously.
Yeah, they've only played once though.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah, no. Actually, has Tampa ever beaten him? I don't know if Tampa's ever beaten him. I would need to go back and check. So
I don't remember.
But
yeah,
I think that trend continues. So, but yeah, as right, there's not too much really go on for this team. I mean, the only real thing that's going to affect this game is Atlanta's draft stock. They can, if they lose and certain teams win, they can go down to 6. If they win and certain teams lose, then they'll only go up to 9. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, I'll keep an eye on this one. If Brady and Mike Evans and those guys aren't playing, I will keep my pick. However, if they're rumored to be playing at least half the game, I will probably change to Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so up next, New England versus Buffalo. Buffalo, obviously coming off a rough night in Cincinnati with the Damar Hamlin situation. Thoughts and prayers go to him and his family. But the NFL has said Week 18 is going on as planned. We both have Buffalo winning. Why do you think Buffalo is going to win this one?
There's no way Buffalo's losing this game. I mean, there's no way they're losing. I mean, and I hate using to prove a point. I hate trying to use like an emotional argument, but it's like, I mean, come on, they're not losing this game. Let alone the fact they're clearly the better team. They're just in general. I think their defense has been a little shaky at times. New England's offense is not going to really threaten them at all unless if Matt Patricia somehow finds a different game plan. Shoot, if you go back to when they played several weeks ago, the Patriots' only touchdown was off a bubble screen that I think was a missed tackle away from being just a 4-yard catch. That's all it was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It was a good play by Marcus Jones. He actually
eluded
a couple guys. But again, it was one explosive play. They had 0 offense.
And that was it. And now you're going into Buffalo in January after everything that has happened. Yeah, there's just no chance. And
the only thing that I think is going in New England's favor, but I think it's also going around every other locker room in the NFL, is like the scar factor of what actually happened on Monday night. And for me, I think if New England wins this game, it's because Buffalo mentally is just not ready to play football.
Well, and that's fair to say, and then even like the preparation of it as well. So it definitely is going to be hard.
Even if New England comes in with a near perfect scheme, I think Buffalo man for man is just too good for them to cover.
Yeah, I personally think that it's based on just the reports. I think that with the improvement signs, I think looks like we're going to be getting good news, and by then I think a lot will change because it's Wednesday night, it's 9:30 Central Time here, so a lot can change between then.
Yeah.
But it seems like things are going in the right. Be more motivation for the Bills too. So come out on top.
This one is another one I think I am going to keep my eye on a little bit because if the NFL rules in a certain way on Monday night's game, I think it could affect Buffalo's motivation to actually play in this game, and they could, I don't want to say limp into the postseason, but they could just like, all right, well, we'll just kind of take this week off and then move forward. So that might be something to keep an eye on. But right now, I think with all the emotions swirling, like you said, I think it's Buffalo's not going to lose this game.
But like on top of them already just being a better team, just in general.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're not going to lose this game. So
up next, Minnesota taking on Chicago. This is actually a close game the first time these two teams played, right?
Yeah, but that was a long time ago, wasn't it? I mean, I have to go back and check, but a lot has changed since then.
It was 29-22. This might have been the start of Justin Fields running all over the place.
Had 47 yards for 8 carries in that game.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've Minnesota winning this game. I think that a lot has happened with things since then. I think we now kind of know who the Vikings are. We also and also on the flip side, we also know we definitely know who the Bears are, and they've made some trades that have definitely been like, hey, we are building up for the future and got rid of some guys. This defense is very weak. I don't think they're going to be able to contain this offense here. Vikings are still playing for a lot. If a couple games go their way, they could go all the way up to the 2 seed. No, they can't become the 1 seed, but they can go all the way up to the 2 seed. They've lost to both the Eagles.
Actually,
they've lost to the Eagles and the Cowboys.
Oh no, you're right. You're right.
Yeah. So, well, I guess it all depends on the head-to-head. I guess because San Francisco would have to lose. Let me pull it up here.
No, they can't do it because either Dallas or Philadelphia is going to be the 1 seed.
Well, but if San Francisco also has the same record, then there's going to be a lot of other different tiebreakers. They have the same record right now with San Francisco. So I don't know. I don't know what the tiebreakers would be. So they could, I guess, technically still become home field advantage, all depending on the tiebreakers, but probably not. Yeah. Probably not. But they're going to go out and do their best to win this game. But Minnesota is very vulnerable. Like even this right now, they would be playing the Giants, who they just barely beat a couple days ago or a couple weeks ago. For it was a Saturday game. Yeah, like December 17th, I think, is what it was. No. It was Christmas Day, wasn't it? No. Christmas Eve. I forget, but they just played the Giants, and it came down to a 61-yard field goal against them. This team is very vulnerable. I think that we have all just been kind of hypnotized about how many comeback wins these teams can have and how many teams can blow games against them. However, that being said, they're not making it past the divisional rounds.
No,
like they can't beat the 49ers. They can't beat the Eagles. They can't.
I actually think they would really struggle against the Buccaneers with the way that defense plays.
I think that would be interesting. That would be a really interesting game. I don't think that they won't play in the divisional round just with their seedings. The 3-4 can't play in the divisional round. I take that back. Now they could with the second seed having to play a wild card game. So yes, they could. You are correct about that. So, but that would be an interesting game. But I mean, that's a very specific scenario. That's also assuming that the Buccaneers make it past the Cowboys. So, or the Eagles, That being said, though, the Vikings will win this game. They're starting Nathan Peterman. The Bears are. Yeah. So Justin Fields isn't even going to be playing. They're just resting him, preparing for 2023.
Yeah. No, I agree. I also have Minnesota winning. I think we're brothers. Same thoughts. Up next is going to be possibly the most important game of this week. Baltimore versus Cincinnati. This is for the division. Baltimore won the matchup earlier in the season, 17-16, I believe. And who's going to be – is Lamar Jackson coming back this week?
I don't know. I still don't know. I haven't seen too many injury reports that have come out today. Don't know if he played. This injury seems a lot more severe than what it was because that happened like week 14, wasn't it?
Yeah, and they said he'd be worst case scenario, he'd be back on Christmas. And
and he still hasn't played yet.
18.
So I really don't know. That being said, though, the Bengals have just been clicking on all cylinders. Even with the loss of L. Collins, their right tackle, to who they played in Week 16, the Patriots. No.
It was the Patriots. Yeah,
I still think that
lost that game.
I still think that this offense is clicking on all cylinders. Joe Burrow playing like it hasn't playing. He has been playing his best. He's not playing his best, and he's playing his best at the right time. So. Baltimore, even with Lamar Jackson, was struggling to score. Now they're definitely struggling to score. throwing the ball through the air, very one-dimensional running the ball, and their defense still, I think, just struggling just in general on the defensive side of the ball. So, more throwing the ball. They still have a good run defense, but
they haven't been getting after the passer nearly as well, which has really hurt their secondary, which is banged up and, in my opinion, slightly overrated. I have Cincinnati winning. They're the better team, better players. They're hot at the right time. Next up, one of the games that does not matter pretty much at all until April. Houston versus Indianapolis. Actually, I don't even think it really matters for.
No, it does. Let me check the record here, but I think if Houston wins and Chicago loses, I think that they get the number 1 seed.
Or the number 1 pick.
Yeah. So Houston right now is 2-13-1. Chicago is 3-13.
Oh,
so if Houston wins and Chicago loses, Chicago gets the number 1 pick. Yeah.
Well, I don't really think that makes a difference for Houston because they're drafting a quarterback and Chicago's definitely not.
Well, so what's interesting about that, actually, I saw one draft and I actually found it quite interesting. If you look at this draft class now, what are some surefire prospects?
Oh, Jalen Carter, Will Anderson. I think you can put CJ Stroud in the top tier prospect list.
Top tier, but not surefire. Like sure thing. And I understand no one's a sure thing, but there's one to be like, okay, you can't miss this guy. I've been seeing some mock drafts though, where actually the Texans draft Jalen Carter or draft Will Anderson first overall. Then they have the second first round pick. That's going to be around 10 to 12, depending on where the Browns fall. And then they take Will Levis, they take Anthony Richardson, a project, and then they work on him. They still have Davis Mills. They still have Jeff Driscoll. They still have these guys because Houston is a long way away. And I was thinking about it. That's not a horrible thing. I mean, Houston, it's not like Houston's a quarterback away from like making the playoffs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I still hate that philosophy.
But I mean,
I would rather stick with Davis Mills.
Who would you bet right now? Who would you bet right now is going to have a better NFL career? Bryce Young, Will Anderson. Or sorry, of these three, who is going to have the worst NFL? Who would you bet had the worst NFL career? Bryce Young, Will Anderson, Jalen Carter. Who would you bet on? Yeah,
easy.
So with the first overall pick, that is a big power, and also you can have the most scrutiny because you missed on a guy. Like when you had everyone and you missed on this guy. If you take Jalen Carter, or Will Anderson, who we think is a sure thing.
Well,
with the quarterback, and you've even said it yourself on this channel that the difference from first round quarterbacks becoming successful to someone in the third, fourth, fifth, sixth round, it's not that big of a difference of successful quarterbacks depending on where they've been drafted, you know.
Well, but that has to do with how mental the position is. My biggest thing is if you're going to take a first round quarterback, you have to be sold that he is your guy, right?
Yeah,
and so for me, the only guy in this class that I am like that is a QB1 is CJ Stroud. Mm-hmm. I haven't really watched too much film on him, I think if you are the Texans and you get a chance at CJ Stroud at 2, you take it. I don't think that Jalen Carter or Will Anderson are a bad pick. Although Jalen Carter completely disappeared on last Saturday.
He did. He did. You had a good point last night when we were talking about it. He did not really have that big of an impact in that Ohio State game.
Yeah. So to be fair, Jordan Davis kind of did the same thing last year in the SEC championship game, and then he made his presence known really early on in the national championship game. So there is just something to kind of think about there. In terms of this game, I have Houston winning. I think they're the better team than Indianapolis. I also think that I don't know. Indianapolis is just kind of in shambles right now.
Well, I also think too. I also think as of now, looks like Sam Eilinger is going to start to kind of see what they have with him, because Nick Foles, I believe, is out with broken ribs. Matt Ryan, if he dresses, it's because they just need a quarterback to fill back there.
Yeah. You think Matt Ryan's done?
Probably. I'm just trying to think of what team would take him. I mean, maybe Chicago would take him as a backup, but also if you're Matt Ryan, it's like, do I really want to be a backup? Like, I don't think I want to be a backup. So, and it's not like he really provided anything this year that
would
make a team like the Texans, who just wants to bring in a stopgap quarterback. So I don't know. It was kind of sad because I had a lot of high hopes. A lot of people had a lot of high hopes coming with Matt Ryan, but this did not work out. It's not always the quarterback's fault. I mean, a lot of offensive line trouble in the beginning of the year, but he also, when their offensive line seemed to be playing a little bit better, it did not play well at all. So
I think also they were probably trying to install new schemes mid-season after they brought in Jeff Saturday, which it was just a cluster in Indianapolis, and nothing seemed to go right for them this year.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what they do going forward. But
now I guess since we talked about that, the Colts are definitely going to be drafting a quarterback. Because they're probably going to be 5th overall, 4th overall, 6th overall, depending on if they win this game. It actually can vary a lot.
Yeah, to me, Indianapolis is the location for Bryce Young to go. If he's going to go top 5.
And you know what? I wouldn't honestly dislike that pick because you got a lot of tall receivers, so Bryce Young would be able to see them over the offensive line. But then also imagine like in the backfield, Bryce Young, Jonathan Taylor combo. A lot of read options. Have him throwing to Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce. You have a lot of good tight ends that he could be thrown to. Paris Campbell really found a connection with Matt Ryan. Like that wouldn't be a horrible thing. Well, and this is the difference between where Houston's at and versus Indianapolis. I honestly think that Indianapolis is a quarterback away from being
quarterback and a coach.
And a coach. Yeah. Yes, I agree. Yeah. But if we're talking about just on the on-field personnel, I think they're a quarterback away from being in the playoffs. There's no reason why this team shouldn't have made the playoffs.
Yeah. Well, the reason is coaching.
And their quarterbacks didn't really play well.
No. Yeah. And that for me, I think if you get Bryce Young in Indianapolis, that solves a lot of the issues that I have with him. Size is probably my biggest thing. He's smaller than Tua, and we're seeing what's happening to Tua right now.
Well, but I also think Bryce Young's a better quarterback than Tua, though. I mean, Tua has after watching a lot of Tua, I was a Tua supporter, and I'm not saying that I'm not a Tua supporter. However, though, if you're a quarterback in the NFL, you got to be able to throw it well over 50 yards. And Tua's struggling to do that. I mean, they're all arm strength, especially in that offense with Tyreek. From what I've seen from Bryce Young, and I'm going to be watching a lot more film on it, Bryce Young does not have an issue throwing the ball.
Tua didn't have an issue with that in college either. The football in the NFL is bigger. That's
true.
Bryce Young's size, to me, is going to be his biggest limitation because he's not the athlete of Kyler Murray, but he's the same size. I don't think he has as strong of an arm as Kyler Murray. He has a good arm, but I think if you get him in Indianapolis, they have a good offensive line as long as it's coached well. They have weapons in place. They have a pretty good defense. They have some pieces in place. Not to mention, he's going to be playing 8 games indoors in Lucas Oil. He's going to be playing a game in Jacksonville, which almost always has good weather, a game in Tennessee, which is a lot better than playing in the NFC East, where you have a game in Buffalo, New England, and New York, and then another game in Houston, which is also in the Dome. So that right there, I think, is a good situation for Bryce Young to kind of limit a lot of my concerns with him. We got way off topic, but
I think ironically, this is the game that we've talked the most about.
yeah. And it has some draft implications, so I think it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
But this one will be interesting when comes time for April, but I am excited to look at some of the mock drafts after Sunday.
I will say, if you're Chicago, obviously you want Houston to win this game for the obvious reasons that you'd be picking first overall. But if you're picking first overall, though, and you see these quarterback-hungry teams who need a quarterback and if they fall in love with a guy, Chicago will get a lot of picks back. And that's Chicago would move back in a heartbeat. Wherever the Colts, or even if the Raiders say, like, hey, we really like CJ Stroud, we want to bring him in, the Raiders will move up 7-8 spots and we'll give them multiple first-round picks. And if you're the Bears right now, similar to the Texans, it's like, we are rebuilding. We need a lot of picks. It's also possible that move back as well because, obviously Jalen Carter, Will Anderson, but then there's going to be a bunch of other edge rushers picking around 7 or 8. They also then have the 12th pick as well. And they're able to get multiple other first-round picks to go along already with the multiple first-round picks that they have over the next 2 years, or is it just next year?
3 years, I think, because they traded him in the summer, right? Oh no, they traded him before the draft.
I think they traded him before the draft.
They got 3 years of first-round picks, so I think they have this year and then next year.
And next year, so then they would love to have 3 first-round picks next year. You know what I mean? So, but let's move on though. I think that's why we get very off topic because we both really love that conversation. And so let's move on to the next game here. We actually disagree on this one. The New York Jets versus Miami Dolphins. If I'm not mistaken, New York Jets are out of the playoffs. They are 7-9. Does not matter what happens. Miami is 8-8. Tua will not be playing. Last I heard, Teddy Bridgewater is still in the concussion protocol, and he will not be playing, correct? No, it's not concussion. He just got hurt.
Yeah, he broke his fingers. He broke, I think, his pinky finger and his ring finger on his right hand.
So he's done. He's definitely done.
And so, he can't grip a football. So it sounds like Skylar Thompson is going to be the quarterback for Miami this week. I actually think he adds something that Teddy Bridgewater doesn't. He's not Tua in this offense, but he's in my opinion, I think he added a new element outside the pocket that Teddy Bridgewater did not have. Maybe it was a scheme difference for when Skylar Thompson came in for the Patriots that allowed that to happen. But I think Miami, with the weapons that they have, the Jets are not going to be playing for anything. Also, Zach Wilson, it sounds like he's starting. And that's not I have zero faith in Zach Wilson to hit the ground with a football, let alone an open receiver. So so I had the Jets winning this game right now. For me, it's kind of all around this how good this defense is going up against Skylar Thompson. And I think Miami is going to end up struggling because Miami, one thing that they really need to address is the balance on their offense. They are definitely one-dimensional. And by that, I mean, like, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, one-dimensional. That's pretty much it. They have other guys, Mike Gesicki, Trent Sherfield. That's what I was just about to say. I was like, one of the guys that should be doing so good in this offense is Mike Gesicki. Like, George Kittle in this offense was so explosive. And I know it was a totally different system. Or not, it was the same system, but it was a totally different type of tight end because George Kittle is a tremendous blocker, whereas Mike Gesicki is not. But I'm just like, man, he should be catching 50 balls, 600 yards, and 8 touchdowns. Like,
well, yeah. So I agree. Like, I think Mike Gesicki should. I think it's an absolute missed opportunity on his part. George Kittle is by far way better tight end than Mike Gesicki. But also, too, one of the things I've noticed as well, and there's a lot of these plays, and they're kind of play action-esque plays or RPO plays, where they are one like read the edge rusher, and then if not, immediately see where Tyreek Hill is at, and then throw the ball. So I think that's tough for honestly any receiver 2 or receiver 3 to really kind of be effective on that. We've even seen that with Jalen Waddle, who's had a good year, but the game plan is Tyreek Hill first, and then improvise whoever is open from there.
Another thing is I think Tua struggles to drive the ball down the seams. You have to put a lot of pace behind that ball, going down the seams because you have a lot less time to beat that safety than outside the numbers.
Yeah.
And I think Tua really struggles to throw that football. So
Yeah, well, and that's where I'm very curious. I'm very curious what's going to happen with Miami in the offseason because now that Tua's had a healthy full year, and now in this offense here, I want Tua to be successful, but I can now see some faults on what would hinder him moving forward. I'm also curious too, and it's tough to see. I mean, you're a football player, or like these football players, and like when is it time to call it quits? Tua has had a rough year.
Yeah,
I mean,
3 concussions.
When he missed 2 or 3 weeks after his first 2 concussions or something like that, or his concussion protocol controversy.
Yeah, so he got the concussion against Buffalo, played 4 days later, got the concussion against Cincinnati.
Bad, like the bad one that we all remember. And then he got one against Green Bay, and he's been out for. Well, he's going to miss 3 weeks now.
Yeah, I think he's missed 6 weeks, I think, with concussions.
Yeah,
I mean that's a third of the season.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I don't know.
He's had a tough go of it with injuries pretty much his whole career. With broken ankle, dislocated hip. They didn't know if his hip was ever going to be the same for like 8 months. They didn't know that. So
yeah, we'll just have to see when it comes to this game. I just think that Jets defense going up against Skylar Thompson and some of the struggles that Miami offense has had. Like even if we look at this past week, Miami struggled against the New England defense, and I would correct me if I'm wrong. You know better. I would say the Jets defense, New England, are kind of comparable when it comes to their skill level, and just their toughness to play against.
Yeah, I agree. The Patriots might be a little bit stingier against the pass, whereas I think the Jets might be a little stingier against the run because outside of Sauce Gardner, the Jets don't have the depth that the Patriots do.
Who's their other guy? CJ Reed or DJ Reed, their number 2 corner. He's had a good year.
Yeah, but he's come on a little bit like somewhat as of late. However, like he's still susceptible. And granted, all corners are, but
I understand. But let's move on now to the next game, though. This game doesn't matter at all. Carolina versus New Orleans. I would need to look honestly to see who the starters are. And so I was all gun ho on Carolina and winning the division, honestly. And at first it looked like last Sunday, I think they got up 14-0. And then even actually, I think 21-3 at one point.
No, it was 14-10.
Oh, okay, never mind then.
Then it was 21-10, and then it was 31-21.
Yeah.
After that,
so they just fell apart. Honestly, so don't know who's going to be starting right now. New Orleans, I think, is the more consistent team, especially on the defensive side of the ball. So I think I have New Orleans winning this game. Piercy starts at quarterback. I don't know if Jameis Winston will be coming back in. He's fallen off the face of the earth because Andy Dalton's been playing pretty well enough to get the starting job. So I have New Orleans winning this game.
I do too. For me, I don't think J.C. Horn is going to be playing this week.
No, especially not now.
Yeah, and New Orleans is just they're the better team. I know Carolina's defense has been playing well, but offensively they've been pretty inconsistent. I could say all these things, and then they could do what they did a couple weeks ago and put up 34. So
they could.
Who knows? It's a division game. You honestly have no idea. So
yeah, a division game, week 18. That does not matter.
Yeah, exactly. So up next is going to be Cleveland versus Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh playing for a potential playoff spot. New England has the tiebreaker and head-to-head over them. However, New England has to play Buffalo.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a tough matchup. So Pittsburgh could potentially get in if the Jets beat Miami. And yeah, I mean, I think Pittsburgh is clearly the better team. This pass rush and defense is just disgusting.
I think I saw a stat with TJ Watt starting the team 7-2.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
And he's a defensive end. That's just nuts.
think about where this team would be a sure lock in the playoffs.
Yeah.
If he didn't tear his pec halfway through the season. So
no, it was the first game.
No,
He missed
the
first half of the season.
Yeah, he missed the first half of the season. Sorry.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think he's going to get after Deshaun Watson. Cleveland, it's similar as well, not really playing for too much. I guess just pride at this point. And still, even then, hasn't really played too well. I mean, I think he's still maybe getting the rust off, trying to get used to the system. Yes, they beat Washington last week, but that's not really the most interesting or thing to brag about. I think Carson Wentz had 3 picks. So
yeah, it was not a good game.
Yeah.
Let me look. It was 24-10, but yeah, Carson Wentz 16-28, 143 yards, 3 interceptions. Deshaun Watson only completed 50% of his passes for 169 yards and 3 touchdowns. So, and they all they all came in the second half. So it was 3-7 going into halftime. So
yeah,
maybe he's finding a rhythm, but I think Pittsburgh comes away with this one. I just think they might.
It's just one of those things. They have a lot more to play for. Like Cleveland can enjoy playing spoiler as much as they want, but at the end of the day, I think they're probably going to be playing a lot of guys to kind of see who they have for next year. So let's move on, though, now to, I guess, this game. Well, no, this game has implications, but the Chargers versus Denver. Chargers are the 5th seed right now. And actually, you know what? If it works out, I actually would love to see a Chargers-Jacksonville game.
That actually would be pretty good.
That actually would be very entertaining.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would need to think about it. I don't know who I would pick in that game.
That's really interesting because that's very much new wave players. That's
Trevor Lawrence, Justin Herbert. Yeah.
So that's
a fair point really too. Because wasn't Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes, weren't they in the same draft?
No.
Or was it just 1 year?
It was 2 years later.
Was it really 2 years?
Yeah, because Mahomes
he was in the same draft.
Deshaun Watson were in the same draft.
He was in the same draft as Tua, Josh Allen, and them.
No, Josh Allen was the year before with Sam Darnold, Baker, Josh Rosen, and Lamar Jackson.
Oh God, Josh Rosen.
Yeah.
Who was in the QB class with
Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, and Tua were all in the same one.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking of. So yeah, it's interesting too. You say that because now it seems like Joe Burrow.
That was 2020.
That was 2020. Holy cow! Jeez Louise.
Yeah.
Has been around the block. Obviously, Mahomes, Allen have done that. So yeah, to see Herbert and then now Lawrence, you're right. Like these are going to be the new, the new faces that will be joining. That will be kind of, I think, taking over for Brady and Rodgers and Matt Ryan. Russell Wilson. Andy Dalton. These will be the guys coming out the new face of the franchises. They obviously are now, but now they're just going to be putting their stamp on things. So
yeah,
a lot more primetime games. I feel like coming to Jacksonville over the next couple of years.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But not too much to talk about this. I mean, Denver sucks. So
yeah, we both have the Chargers winning. I mean, Denver has started to play a little better on offense lately.
Yeah,
and one of the things. It is always tough going to Denver and playing, but it's kind of.
Do you? We'll talk about Denver here for a second. What's your thoughts on all the support that Russell Wilson has been getting lately since the Nathaniel Hackett fire?
I mean, the offense has been a lot better since Nathaniel Hackett.
I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about even the locker room stuff, off the field stuff.
I think some of it might be manufactured.
I agree. I find it very ironic now that after the head coach gets fired, then the entire team, to me, it seems like the entire team's trying to save their jobs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even when you have KJ Hamler, who's we've seen, of course, arguments can just be arguments. We've been in arguments before, and it's whatever, but it's like just in a disagreement. But you're seeing former players, you're seeing former staffs, maybe some even current staff, current teammates, like clearly complaining about this guy. And then now all of a sudden, Bud believed in him the entire time. I'm like, no, you didn't. Like where was the support in week 4, week 5 when everyone was starting to clearly trash this guy? Like everyone was trashing him. And then now you want to give the support after the head coach is fired?
No, that's what I mean. Like, I think it's some of it might be like we believed in him that like he would fix it, and like in the moment we were all extremely frustrated with him.
Yeah, but then you support him during week 6, 7, 8.
Yeah,
when the media is constantly lambasting him, when 2 average bozos like you and I are just railing on him for how awful he's playing, saying that his Hall of Fame career is now essentially non-existent because this year is by far like one of the worst years that he's had. You say that stuff during then, wait until the head coach gets fired and y'all get embarrassed on Christmas Day. Oh, you know, and so that's for me. I'm seeing that stuff and I just roll my eyes. Like, I think you guys are trying to save your jobs, trying to put in good standing because whatever head coach gets fired, they're not getting get hired. They're not getting rid of Russell Wilson. He's going to have a clear communication with Russell Wilson. Hey, who do you think should be kept on the team? Like KJ Hamler's like, I love Russell Wilson, best guy, best quarterback I've ever played with.
Yeah, exactly. No. That's like, I mean, that's the political side of the game. Like, I hate it, but it's guys are going to say what they need to say. And to be fair, being a Patriots fan, I think that people should always try to keep as much emotion out of their press conferences and everything as possible because of situations like this. Because now, Denver's going to be in a huge turnover period, trying to recoup what they gave up for Russell Wilson.
Yeah,
and figure out if they can if Russell Wilson is even the guy for them now.
Yeah.
So
but even then, you don't have to be emotional. You can even have like a talking point, but still, or even just a script. Maybe not even talking point, but a script when all of these articles are coming out, and be like, "Look, Russ is our guy. He's obviously we are obviously not playing well as a team. He's obviously wants to be playing better, wants to have a different result. But he is our guy. Yeah. We brought him in for a reason. Now that you're saying that after week 15 or week 16, whenever that week was like, come on. I think that's just lazy.
So I think to me, it's a similar situation with what's going on in New England with Matt Patricia and Mac Jones. Now, in this situation, it was Nathaniel Hackett and Russell Wilson. And I'm not comparing Mac Jones to Russell Wilson because Russell Wilson, up to this point in his career, had a Hall of Fame career, won a Super Bowl, did a lot of great things. Mac Jones had one average season as a rookie. Mm-hmm. But like you see, offensive coach comes in, scheme has good players in Denver situation, really good players, and like it's just not working. Like no matter what they do, they cannot get out of their own way. They can't figure anything out. They can't run plays in an order that make any whit of sense. Like and then everybody kind of, I think, jumped on Russell Wilson because in the first time in his career, they really had the opportunity to. Now, with that being said, I don't think that a lot of the things that came out about him were necessarily false. Specifically, when Richard Sherman was making jokes on Thursday Night Football about how somebody needs to call Russell Wilson's agent to let him know that the team needs him to show up to practice. Like, things like that. That is where stuff like that comes out that ruins reputation. So yeah, Denver, obviously they're eliminated this season, but I'm really curious to watch them this offseason. Seattle is going to get a mighty fine first round draft pick out of them. And Denver thought they would be giving up a late 20s, possibly early 30s.
Pick. Everyone did.
Yeah, I mean everyone. You go back to the beginning of the year, I had them in the AFC Championship game, I think.
Oh yeah, I mean, and it's like funny. You look back on it and be like, oh, like how wrong we were, but it's like that's the right thing. Like you go look at this team with Teddy Bridgewater as the quarterback, and they nearly made the playoffs.
Yeah.
With the perception, you look at Russell Wilson, the numbers that he was putting up, it's
God.
like that they should be in the playoffs. They absolutely should be in the playoffs.
They should be 12-4 right now, not 4-12.
This is one of those seasons that will be remembered and dissected for a long time. People will go back and watch game film, like who was really at fault? Did Russell Wilson just miss all the throws, or was, like to your point, was Nathaniel Hackett's offense just awful? What was his coaching decisions, like in game, pre-game, game plans, awful? So,
I mean, we'll have to see. One of the things too that I think we might have underestimated a little bit coming into this season, that and this is an observation away from the games, but somebody has to lose every game. I know this year there were a lot of ties. Actually, well, there were really only two, but most years there aren't any. So, but like somebody has to lose every game, and I think maybe, especially me, I might have looked at like how good these rosters are and not necessarily how they compare to each other and who's on the schedule. So that's kind of something I think we'll have to look at going forward.
Well, so I see where you're going with that, and it's fair. However, with this, like, look at this Denver team and look at this Raiders team, like, and disappointing seasons, but for totally different reasons. Like the Raiders, how many times did the Raiders lose a game in the final 4 minutes in the fourth quarter?
Oh, a lot. There's only one game.
Another one.
That they lost by more than a touchdown.
And it was 26-0 to the Saints about week 6 or week 7.
Yeah, 24.
So you go look about that, and I agree with you. There are just, unfortunately, there are losers. Like that's just the way this game is, you know. And for the Raiders, it just built up week after week after week, and it became too much to come back from. The Broncos, though, however, I mean, it's pretty bad. They went on a stretch. They didn't just start scoring more than 20 points in the game until I think, well, I guess there was the first game where they played the Chiefs, which I think was what, week 14, week 15.
Yeah,
like
15.
They've only scored over 20 points 3 times this season that I can think of.
And they lost.
I think they lost all 3.
Yeah. Yeah, they've only scored over 20 points 3 times against the Raiders in week 4.
Chiefs twice.
And Chiefs twice, and they lost all 3.
Yeah.
So
do you know what I mean? So it's like, yes, there needs to be losers. Some teams are unfortunately on the short end of the stick. However, this Broncos team, like historically,
is one of the biggest disappointments,
because that defense is, we're going to look back, it's going to be a top 5 defense, or maybe not top 5, like a short top 10.
You look at the personnel on it, especially the beginning of the season when Bradley Chubb was there.
Yeah, and then they traded
Patrick Surtain going into Patrick Surtain going into his second year, playing a Pro Bowl level, if not all pro level corner, really. Justin Simmons at safety, Bradley Chubb coming off the edge. And it's just like, okay, so now you have 2 stars in the secondary, you have a star in the front 7. It's like you need to fill in the other pieces with good players, but like that has the makings of an elite defense. And they were, but the problem is they were on the field so much.
Yeah.
So, all right, we got way off topic there. Let's get back to picks. We both have the Chargers winning in week 18. Up next, battle of the NFC East. The Giants and the Eagles are going to face off here. The Giants have nothing to play for.
Yeah,
they're locked in at 6, right?
Yep. Yeah, they're locked in at 6. Philly has everything to play for.
Yeah.
They're in the playoffs, yes, but big difference between home field advantage and then having to fly down to Tampa next week. Yeah. So I have Philly winning this game. Jalen Hurts should be playing this game. I don't think that it should be an issue for them. They put up 48 against this team. So that was with a healthy Jalen Hurts. I also think, too, the Giants,
They might take it easy because they win, lose, no change in result there.
They might. I mean, I don't. Would you play Saquon Barkley against this tough defense? Would you play?
I would play Saquon Barkley. I wouldn't play Daniel Jones. I'm running 4 tight ends. I'm not playing any of my receivers if I'm New York because
you need every
hurt.
You need every single one. So to me, it seems like, especially this game, and Philly's going to be coming at hardcore. Like they will be doing whatever it takes to try and win this game. I just don't even see one. I think Philly's going to win the game. Would win the game in general. I think that they match up pretty well against the Giants, even with the little banged up Jalen Hurts. And then though you're the Giants, it's like, what do you get out of beating the guy? Like because then it's like then Dallas now becomes the number 1 seed, and you've struggled mightily against the Dallas as well. You know what I mean? So at least rest your guys against Philly. Maybe if you run into Philly later on the season, they only have one game of film against you.
And then if you're lucky, you play Minnesota in the wild card round.
Yeah.
So that's another.
Well, they might be playing. That's out of their control. They might be playing Minnesota anyways because they're as we said, they're locked up in the 6th seed.
Yeah. But I said if you're lucky, you'll play Minnesota.
Oh yeah.
Who had to kick a 61-yarder to beat you 3 weeks ago,
and he's going to have to win this week as well. So
I
have Philadelphia winning this game. I also think that they're the better team. They match up well against them, and also I don't think the Giants are really going to be playing that much. Daniel Jones is going to be told not to run at all. Like don't take sacks, throw the ball away immediately. Like I just don't think it's going to be very intense for them.
Yeah, no, I agree. Philadelphia comes away with the win and the 1 seed. Next, Arizona taking on San Francisco. Arizona, nothing to play for. San Francisco technically could still be the 1 seed.
It would all depend on tie breaks. I don't even know what the tie breaks would be.
The Eagles, Vikings, and Cowboys all have to lose, I think, for them to get the 1 seed.
Well, so the Eagles definitely have to lose, and then at that point, it would come down to tiebreakers.
Okay.
So I have no idea. Right now, they're the 2 seed. So I think that they'll probably end up there because I think Philly will win. If Philly wins and San Francisco wins, then that's the 1-2 seed right there. So San Francisco going up against Arizona, no issues at all. DeAndre Hopkins not playing. It'll be J.J. Watt's last game. And even then, this offense is not going to have any issues against Arizona at all.
Yeah.
I even saw that. I don't know about Debo. I saw they're bringing back Elijah Mitchell. He's off IR. So that actually would kind of replace a little bit of Debo, bring back a little bit of it. He can kind of help be that somewhat versatile. Yeah.
But yeah, San Francisco should win easily.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna jinx the shit out of them. This is the Ryan's lock of the week. So up next, LA Rams versus Seattle. Rams playing Baker. They only put up 10 points last week. I think the shtick might be a little up on the Baker-led Rams.
Yeah, the Baker should only have 1 win as a Ram, anyways. The Raiders absolutely gave him that win. But yeah, I think Seattle is just a better team overall. And so,
who did Baker beat like 41-16?
KJ Hamler's favorite quarterback.
Oh, the Broncos. That's right.
Yeah, on Christmas Day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Another time that game cost me $370 as well. Ridiculous. I thought Denver, because same thing, like talent wise, Denver can maybe like stop this offense.
Yeah.
No, they give up. They give up 51 points.
Yeah, 51. Yeah.
Oh, it's something stupid. Something absolutely stupid.
But yeah, I think Seattle they'll just be too good. They have to win, and then they have to win, right? And then
so Seattle has to win, and then Detroit has to win.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Seattle has to win. I mean, yeah. Seattle should wipe the floor with the Rams. They're not good. They have nothing to play for. I hope DK Metcalf teabags Jalen Ramsey for a 95-yard touchdown. Like, So,
Ramsey might not even play, and I mean this game means absolutely nothing to him. So
yeah.
Let's move on to the next one though. And this game, and as I said, this game actually doesn't really mean anything. Well, like it does technically, but Dallas versus Washington Commanders, and I mean Dallas is going to win this game just in general.
Yeah.
Sam Howell will be starting. Actually, I would be really looking forward to watching that game. I would love to see it.
Yeah.
Just kind of see how he does. Because Washington, they might be looking at taking a quarterback and trading up to go get a guy.
If you're Dallas, do you rest anybody here?
No. Okay. I mean, it's a normal week. We have to go out and win a game, do our part. The only guy maybe you might consider, like let's say Tony Pollard's still a little banged up. Like I don't like he would provide a big impact, but at maximum he's on a snap count. Okay. But Dallas, you have to go out and win the game, do your part. But as I said, that's where like technically this game matters, but also it's like the Eagles still need to lose, and I just don't see that scenario either. I struggle to see that scenario also, I should say.
Yeah, no, I agree. If I'm Dallas, I think in my head, I don't think I need to play Micah Parsons. I don't necessarily think I need to play well, maybe you play CeeDee Lamb. I don't know. Like you said earlier, I'm definitely scoreboard watching. Philadelphia gets up 2 scores. Maybe I'm putting in Cooper Rush instead of Dak Prescott. Maybe I'm not letting Micah Parsons take all those snaps that like he usually does. Just because I think it's so unlikely that Philly loses to the Giants.
True, but still, let's look at this Washington team. Sorry. They have a great receiver room. The running back room isn't horrible. They have a solid defense, especially the defensive front. They're no slouch. There are pieces for Sam Howell to have a decent rookie start in. So I that's why I say, unless the injury is somewhat severe and we need him, like we think it would be a detriment for him for his recovery to come back in to have a snap count. Don't play them, and just go out and win the game. But I would start everyone that was healthy for as long as you can, for as long as you feel fit.
Yeah, I don't know. I think if you're Dallas, you need a lot of things to go your way to get the bye, and I think you might just want to take advantage of it. Take advantage of like a mini bye while you can.
Yeah.
So who knows? We'll see.
Well, the only thing though with that is I'll say is there's you say take a mini bye while you can, but then you could have a mega bye if you win and Philly loses, so you want to have your best players available. It's like I see where you're coming from. This is why I'm glad that they're playing both those games at the same time. So like one team wouldn't get an advantage over that.
Yeah. No, I agree.
So Dallas is still going to win in my opinion. So we'll just go there. Let's move on now to the Sunday night football game, the game of the day for sure. You
there?
Oh, yeah, 1 second. Oops, sorry. Oh, whoops, I'm doing the wrong thing. I'm on my other computer here, also looking at our scoreboard here. But the last game of the regular season, Detroit Lions, who is by far the would you say the shock, like the positive shock of the season?
I mean, maybe for everybody else, but I called it at the beginning of the year.
As a team that, you did. But like, were you expecting it though? I mean, to this magnitude, like
I said multiple times at the beginning of the year that Detroit could be a fringe playoff team. And look at what they are, a fringe playoff team.
Yeah, but I mean, are you just saying that as clickbait? No, I'm just kidding.
No, it's recorded. It's on here.
No, I know. I am just kidding. Yeah, but you're absolutely right, though. I mean, they had a lot of offensive promise last year. It's lost a lot of close games. And, yeah, it's been really fun to watch them. And for me, I actually ended I picked during this. I ended up having Green Bay winning this game because I also feel that I feel like Seattle doesn't really deserve to be in the playoff. No offense, Geno Smith or all them, but I think that they are the worst of those three teams. Even though Seattle did beat Detroit well on earlier in the year, I think Detroit would beat that team. Like if they played right now, I think Detroit would win that game. I think that they're the better team. So I'm going, but that means I'm going with Green Bay because I also think that they have been coming on hot as of late and overall experience as well. Also, too, this would mean that it's a play-in game, them going into the playoffs Sunday night at Lambeau. I just think that they're going to pull this game off.
Yeah, no, I agree. Green Bay 5-game win streak. We had pretty much all but written them off. It like
well
10.
To be fair to us, they should not have beat Miami. Miami had 5 turnovers in the second half, I think, or 4 in the second half, 5 total.
That is fair.
Like, so it's like Green Bay should not have won that game. They should be out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
Here.
They lost to the Titans and Eagles. Those were their last 2 losses. They beat the Bears 28-19, beat the Rams 24-12. I want to say that was that the Baker Mayfield led Rams.
Yeah. And actually that Eagles game was kind of the first game where we started to say, like, okay, because they put up 33 points against them.
Yeah. And then, they absolutely just smacked around the Vikings. You are right. They were down 20 to 10, I think.
Yeah.
Against the Dolphins, and the Tua concussion kind of allowed them back into that. So it'll be an interesting matchup now that both of these teams are vying for a playoff spot. But I just think Green Bay maybe caught a groove at the right time. That Minnesota defense is not a good representation of an NFL defense. They're not good at all. But they looked good defensively. They really held them to 10 points. The last touchdown came with like 56 seconds left in the game. So
yeah. The thing for me is I think this Green Bay defense has kind of picked up a little bit here. I think they've had some healthy pieces come in, and I'll probably go back and forth this entire week on this game. And so I really would love the Rams to beat Seattle. That way this game means everything, to everyone. Like this would be a big deal. Because then I would love to see Detroit. Then at that point, I might actually change my pick to Detroit just because I would want Detroit to win the game. So, but we'll just have to see. So, who knows? It's going to be it will definitely be a kind of, I think, turning of the tide type game. Even if Green Bay wins, it'll be like Green Bay's not going to be like the dominant Green Bay that we've seen over the past decade. Like I think this Detroit team is legit and here to stay, and I think potential like division winner next year. Honestly, look at this division. The Bears are not going to be good next year, but they might make some strides if they get some good pieces. Maybe something similar to what the Lions were last year.
Yeah, I would say that.
If Minnesota improves that defense, Lions are legit, and if Green Bay can stay, it can improve, especially in the receiving core. Maybe if it's Aaron Rodgers, it's still Aaron Rodgers. Let's say Jordan Love comes in, and Jordan Love is the real deal. We're looking at another really tough division. There are several tough divisions in this league now, and normally the NFC North has been like one of the ones be like Packers, check, just like how we did earlier this year.
Patriots for so long.
Patriots for so long.
You look at the AFC East now. I know the Dolphins fell off towards the end of the season, but at one point the Dolphins were 7-2, I think. And it's just like, okay, well, the Jets, I think, have hit a little bit of a setback with the Zach Wilson thing. Yeah. And their quarterback situation.
I think the AFC West. I think the Raiders are underrated. I think they've lost a lot of really close games. But the Broncos, let's say Russell Wilson does figure it out this offseason. You go look at that division.
They get a coach, maybe, who knows, Sean Payton comes in there and coaches up an offense that's top 5 in the NFL, paired with that top 5 defense.
Yeah.
The spread of talent around the NFL is extremely impressive. I was listening to a podcast, and they were talking about all the number 1 wide receivers in the NFL right now. So like if you look at it, you have DK Metcalf, Cooper Kupp, Debo Samuel, and Brandon Ayuk both on the same team, who are both capable of putting up 1,200 plus yard seasons. What's the other team? DeAndre Hopkins is in that division. Then you go and look at Keenan Allen, Devontae Adams, Cortland Sutton, and Jerry Jeudy. Right now, the Chiefs don't really have one, but they have Mahomes, so they have the ability to
well,
run.
but I would include Travis Kelce. I would say,
okay, Travis Kelce too.
Yeah, I was, yeah.
And then Stephon Diggs, Garrett Wilson looks pretty legit for New York. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle in Miami. New England doesn't really have
Jacoby Myers.
I'm
just kidding.
He's a good receiver. He's not I would not put him in that category. And it's just like, and then you look at quarterbacks. I mean, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. I mean, shoot, Geno Smith is coming on. And then that doesn't include the guys on the same level like Derek Carr, Dak Prescott, Jalen Hurts. Like, there's a lot of really good players in the NFL right now, and they're all spread out. And this is like, it reminds me of like the NBA in like the 90s, where it's like you have all these guys that are just at the top of their game, and you just have no idea who's going to win what week. And it's really exciting to watch.
Yeah. So let's like you said, like let's just say the AFC playoffs. Let's say shoot. I mean, just looking at, let's say the Steelers are the ones that make the playoffs here. So then you'd have Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, Trevor Lawrence, and then Kenny Pickett, who was the first round quarterback taken this year. And then on the NFC side, then let's say Green Bay is the one that wins. Jalen Hurts. It would be Brock Purdy, but he seems like he's going to be a star. Sorry, that might be early to say. I would not be surprised if Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo might get moved this offseason, or just one of them gets moved, because Brock Purdy seems like he is kind of stabilized himself, because he seems to fit into that offense really well, because you don't need an explosive guy. Anyways, that being said, though, Kirk Cousins, Tom Brady, Dak Prescott, Daniel Jones, and then Aaron Rodgers. A couple less maybe exciting names on the NFC side, but some potential, like with Daniel Jones and who was the other guy? Well, and then Brock Purdy. But still, big franchises. I mean, any of these teams, I could see a scenario where they win the Super Bowl. Like
oh yeah,
even the Steelers, if they make it. I mean, you're telling me that you're going to want to go up against that defense? The Bengals struggled against like the Bengals did struggle against that defense.
And the Bengals have a top offense in the league.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Who the hell knows what's going to happen? I'm super excited for the postseason, and man, I'm excited for the draft season. I'm excited for all of it. See where everybody gets going, and it's gonna be exciting. It doesn't look like we have any comments, so I'm going to wrap up the episode right here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Tyler and I try to go live Monday and Tuesday every week around 9 Central Time, 10 Eastern. So go ahead and like, subscribe, hit that bell notification, and we will see you guys next time.